Hey, my name is Derek. I'm a candle maker here in Jacksonville, Florida, and I wanted to talk to you about my company, Distant Thought Candle Company, DT Candles for short, and for simplicity. I just started making candles back in January of 2025. Right now, it's the end of November. I wanted to talk about my journey more for just cataloging my experiences and sharing the things that I've struggled with or I've found enjoyable along the way. Not just in making candles, but starting a business and designing labels and wicking candles and everything else that comes along with it. I want to give a big shout out to a lot of the creators that I follow regularly, whether that's Black Tie Barn, Memory Box Candles, Candle Business Pro, Amber and Oak. Those are the four that really stick out that I watch videos on pretty consistently. If you have any questions about making candles or starting a candle company, those are all really good resources that will cover pretty much any question you've ever had. I want to go back to the beginning. I grew up going to art school for classical guitar. I didn't have any visual arts experience, but had a lot of friends that went to school for it and always just had a huge admiration for that. A lot of them I still stay in contact with and have resisted the urge to ask them for help at this point, but I'm sure that that day's coming. Um, I started out not really knowing what I wanted to do. I didn't even think of this as a business opportunity. It was more of just I really like candles. I like burning candles. It's always been cathartic, just a steady burning wick. Just flickering a little bit of flickering, but really just like the freshness of candle aromas and the fragrances and just wanted to do that for myself and give me something to do outside of work. I am a full-time technical employee. I work in some system administration roles, so do have a career outside of this, which is more of a hobby and a creative outlet for me. But it all started with just watching videos and getting the itch to do it myself. And so I found myself ordering a wax melter and some fragrances, some different waxes, different wicks, and started to use the resources available, on YouTube and online to see exactly what I wanted to do and how to do it. Learning about the complexity of temperatures and fragrance loads and different types of wax, their burning tendencies, different wicks. Really just started to learn. Took it from there. Pretty quick on, I realized that I was pretty terrible at it. The first couple things that I made were not great, and they've never been burned because they smelled terrible. So, probably first piece of advice is you're not gonna do it perfect every time, and that's okay because success just doesn't happen overnight. Um, you have to work at it, and I think I hear that a lot in any industry. Is the hard work is where you learn more about yourself, and I've definitely done that. The first couple of months, I was making soy candles, just you know the availability of the wax and the ability to use something that's somewhat renewable. I really like that. I like the thought of having clean products, whether that's phthalate free and paraben free, dye free, soy candles. I think just made it really simple in terms of not having to explain too much. It's easy advertising to show that hey, my product's clean, and I do my best to utilize as much as I can with renewable resources and non-toxic ingredients, things like that. So started realizing early on that I wanted to do that mostly because I have a dog and I don't want her to have any adverse effects of my candle experiments. So it started out with glass containers, broke a couple of those the first day, and quickly shifted to metal tins, which still used now. I actually have a whole stock of made candles back there using metal tins, and the other side I've got that side. I've got some other black ones in the corner, but really tried to not break more glass, switch to metal. Even tried making votives and tea lights, and after wicking about 10 tea lights, I reverted to never do that again, and I hope I don't ever have to. Um, Tried using some dyes, and with soy wax, it just comes out very pastel and opaque. So I, just wanted to keep it simple. The more ingredients you add to a product, the more it's going to pass on that cost to the consumer. So just decided to keep it easy, keep it simple, and let the scents and the fragrance blend speak for the complexity of the candle itself, not necessarily the visual components to it. Um, Started out with one supplier and didn't do a lot of research into the ingredients, so learned pretty quickly that reading those labels is important, especially if you want to be conscious of what you're burning or what your customers or what your friends and family are burning. So quickly reverted there to using. I think I started using Candle Science mostly from there. I've now started trying some other different brands and just to find variety and see what's out there. And I'm forever chasing a good coffee. I always wanted a good coffee scent, but nothing's really satisfied me yet. So if you've got suggestions, go ahead and leave in the comments. I'd really appreciate it, and I'd love to give it a try and maybe make another video on that. Started really just buying. I think I got a 50% off on all the 1 ounce fragrance oils from Candle Science, so I bought 30 of them. That was 40, $50 to make as many different candles as I could try, and I ended up making 10 early on. Those 10 were what I was going to launch with. I had everything ready to go. I'd spent days and hours and weeks trying to figure out a label design. I already had the 10s ordered. I ordered bulk in both of those. Nothing too crazy, just a case of a 12 ounce 16 ounce container for 12 ounce candles and 8 ounce 10 for a 6 ounce candle. Got my LLC filed, got everything ready to go, and decided that I needed to put it on hold, which later became just a profound choice on my part. I not only in full-time career employee, but I'm also full-time student working on a degree in cybersecurity. Add that to the list. I also give guitar lessons. I have friends that I game with, things like that. So just needed one less thing on my plate. So took about 6 months off between March and August, which turned out to be great. Taking time off, I think, sometimes gives us the reset we need, and it also gave me the opportunity to decide, like, is this something I wanted to do? Like, I started fast, everything started working great, started making some really good blends. Those first 10 I was really proud of, and I ended up scrapping a lot of it. I completely scrapped down the label to something simple. I wanted to make something that just wasn't complicated. I wanted it to look good on a bookshelf or on a countertop or on a desk or a nightstand and not be too distracting. I wanted to complement the simplicity of the Metal 10 with a simple label. So got lucky, and really just when I started getting back into it, I really decided that it's something I wanted to pursue. I wanted to figure out what my product was going to be and shape everything from there. And even bought some more fragrances and ended up launching with 17, which is way too high. I don't think I would ever project to do that. I wouldn't, suggest that to other people unless you really, truly believe that those are worth it. I probably should have shelved 5 or 6 of them and, staggered those releases, but we're 3 days in, and, getting a few sales every day, and that's minimal social media, that's no marketing. I'm kind of proud just to, not the monetary success, but just the fact that I challenged myself to do something and I did it. I think sometimes we have to challenge ourselves to find, to be proud of ourselves. You could do everything right in life and, never challenge yourself and just live with the status quo. And I just don't think I was made for that. So that's really kind of what I wanted to cover in the first video. I think, getting feedback from people really helped too. I was giving out candles, whoever would ask about it, kind of just sharing my hobby on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and started giving out scents and started getting feedback. So I let other people give me the pointers I needed to actually start this thing, and then it took off. But I think that's pretty much it for first video. Just wanted to introduce myself, see if I could actually record a video, and not give up and just keep pushing myself to do this. So if you get a chance, my website's dtcandles.com, or you can find me on Instagram at dt.candles. But thanks for stopping by, and any questions, just put them in the comments below. Thanks.